What's up, TIW Mafia? JP here with a shaky Big Joe, and we do have a guest with us tonight, Allan Funk, formerly known as WCW's Kwee. Been in the wrestling business for a long time. Veteran, now does his own podcast, the Get Funked podcast. Great name. Allan, how are you tonight?
Good, man. Thanks for having me, guys.
Welcome. No problem. When did you start your podcast?
Shoot, I want to say maybe, I probably should have kept track of that, right? I got contacted by a guy named Piers Austin. He does the MWA Podcast Network. Okay. Him and Angel from ECW started that, which Angel was one of the Baldies, one of the ECW originals. Yes. I got to know Angel through over the podcast. So they asked me if I wanted to do a podcast with them. And so I started doing it probably about 6 months ago or so. Okay. And, so it's been something, it's been a work in progress. And, I think it's getting pretty good. I've had some good guests on and I've had some good positive feedback. I don't know if you guys got to catch any of them shows yet.
No, and I just saw you got Elix Skipper coming up, or did you just have Elix on?
Yeah, I had him a couple weeks ago. I mean, I had Chuck Palumbo. I had ECW or CW from ECW Tuesday night. That was live.
Nice. That's a good one, actually.
And you probably remember this old name, the Ice Train from Fire and Ice, Scott Norton.
Yes.
I had him on a couple weeks ago. I mean, I've had, Chuck Palumbo, Mark Jindrak, Mike Sanders, a lot of the Natural Born Thrillers guys you probably watched back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
I'm working on CT Fletcher, which is he's like an icon in the fitness industry. He's got 2.2 million followers on Instagram, so that should be a big show for me.
Yeah, that's cool. That's what and that's really because, I'm guessing you're about our age.
I turned 50 in July.
All right, I'm 47. Joe's about 50 as well. So, this isn't our fucking thing. This isn't like our generation's thing. So it's like if we try to do the same thing and you try to get like an influencer on, maybe from a different genre, from a different bodybuilding and wrestling sort of go hand in hand, especially your generation of wrestling, which I loved.
I used to bodybuild back in Ohio back in the day. So
yeah, you guys had to. Back then,
you had to have good bodies back in the day in wrestling. None of this, 180 pound, 160 pound guys.
There's nothing against them either because some of them are great wrestlers. I just can't get behind it. I'm 400 pounds. I'm not in shape. I'm 6'8".
Yeah.
If I don't believe you can kick my ass, I don't want to see you beat someone else up.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? And
well, not that I'm the biggest guy either, but I at least always took pride in my body and always, I wasn't the tallest guy, so I had to have a better body to go with it,
Yeah, that's the thing. But you guys also sort of had to be able to back it up too.
Well, yeah, back in the day, I was tested a few times back in the locker room. So, if nowadays I'm not really sure how the locker rooms are because I hadn't been around too much in the locker rooms. But I couldn't imagine some of the stuff that we did back in the locker room back in the day being acceptable today.
No, not at all. It's a shame.
Yeah, talking about Rick Steiner tried to try me once, and so I had to stand up to him, which which was turned out pretty good because there was probably a chance that I was going to get my ass whooped, but I didn't back down from him. So him and I are pretty good friends to this day just because I didn't back down from him.
Right,
like a pack of wolves. You gotta pack.
Yeah, man. Hold it up. You might not be the top wolf, but even if you get your ass kicked, as long as you don't back down, you're still accepted. You know what I mean?
There you go.
Joe, we joke all the time because growing up, Joe was the one who bullied me. He was like the older kid to my friends. That's a true story.
Damn, Joe, you big bully.
But now we're best friends. We're brothers at this point,
I was picked on with except when we JP's crowd on him.
Can you interpret that for me? I heard bits and pieces.
In my crowd, I was the one picked on.
Oh, okay.
The JP's crowd, him.
Right. So, and Joe was the one picked on in his crowd. So when he could get a hold of someone from my crowd, he picked
Game on, right?
I happen to be the slowest one in my crowd.
I got you. So everybody else could outrun you, so you didn't want to get picked on.
Yeah, I was the one Joe caught.
Well, back in the day, I was always a small guy. I graduated high school, believe it or not, 105 pounds. But I probably grew about 7 inches a year after I graduated high school, so I was a late bloomer.
Now, what came first, bodybuilding or pro wrestling?
Yeah, bodybuilding. I figured I needed to get a better body before I got into pro wrestling because, to me, like you said, I don't knock anybody. The wrestling, you need all shapes and sizes. You need your Dusty Rhodes, you need your King Kong Bundys, you need your Hulk Hogan's, you need your Big Papa Pumps. It's a mixture of everybody. But and Lori Prescott Demore, what's up? That ain't Scott Demore's wife, is it?
It is not. Laurie is a local fan here, actually, her and her husband, Bobby D. That would be
Awesome.
something else.
Yeah, right. Thanks for joining us, Lori. Appreciate it. So, I was, I'm 5'9", 5'10". So, and people that met me back in the day when I'm still in pretty good shape, for a 50-year-old man. But they always say, well, I thought you were taller than that. But they always said, man, your body's great, but I always thought you were taller than that. So, hearing your body's good. And I just had who Johnny Swinger is, right?
Yes.
So I just did an autograph signing with Johnny Swinger and a few, the Steiner brothers and Craig Pittman, guys like that, the old WCW guys.
Yes.
And Teddy Long was there. It was his deal. Johnny Swinger, we got all the banners in the back where your old pictures are on it, right? Kind of like behind me here.
Yeah.
I got my old Kwee picture on it. And Johnny Swinger came up to me and said, man, he said, Allan, by far, you are definitely the only guy here that looks better than your poster. So that kind of makes you feel good. You know what I mean?
That's cool. Now, can I ask about your last name?
Yeah, Funk. It's a shoot name.
That's your real last name.
Yeah, funny story. When I met Terry Funk, he had to see my ID. He didn't believe my last name was Funk.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I was going to ask, one, is there any relation? And two, did you because you worked as Allan Funk for a little while, did you take any kind of heat for that?
No heat at all, man, because my shoot name. It's not like I just went in there and said, hey, I want to be Allan Funk because I want to be, I want Terry Funk to take note of me or something. It's my shoot name, and it not that it ever worked out that way, which would have been awesome. I've wrestled Terry before and I've done some spots with him in WCW, but my father used to come to the shows. My father had passed away over the last few years, but when I was wrestling at WCW, he's coming to a lot of shows. So in Indiana, we found out that we had mutual family in maybe some parts of Indiana, Chicago. And then Terry, we go to Indiana for a pay-per-view. My dad comes to the show. When I get there, before my dad got there, I'm in the back with Terry, and his uncle walks in. He's like, hey, I'd like to introduce you to my uncle. And I looked at his uncle, and I was like, holy shit. His uncle looked like my dad's identical twin. Really? So I said, I cannot wait till my dad gets here. This is ridiculous. They look like identical twins. So my dad got there. I went out and got him. I gave him his pass from Arn Anderson. I said, Dad, you got to meet Terry's uncle. I said, you will not believe it. I said, I'm not going to say nothing else to you. You just got to come in here and meet this guy. So we went in the locker room, and I walk in there, and Terry and his uncle stand up, and I'm like, Terry is my father. And I think he met my father one other time. And so then I said, hey, Dad, this is his uncle. And he looked at me, and I said, yeah, you guys look like you're looking in the mirror. You feel weird. And he's like, holy shit. So, my dad and Terry always sat down and tried to figure out how we were related. Never really known, but we had people from back in the day. Both of our families come over here from Germany around the same time. So, okay, I'm not saying there's a connection, but there's a connection.
Yeah, it sounds like there probably is, and that's when families came over.
Funk's an unusual name, so you know what I mean.
Yeah, I had to Google you to see if that was your real last name because I wasn't sure. And when I saw that, I was like, is it not Terry's? And I had to look up Terry to make sure it was his real last name.
Yeah, well, once we finish the show, I'll show you my ID if you don't believe me.
Oh, no, I trust you. That's but that was like the first thing because, I mean, you know how wrestling can be.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. A lot of guys, I'm sure, probably think I just use that name just to try to get some recognition.
Now, how did you feel when you went to WCW and they kind of pitched the idea of Kwee to you? Did you?
Well, I was excited because, I've been working my ass off getting to where I was. And finally, I was excited knowing that they were going to want to do something with me, but I was also a little bit disappointed because me and Mike Sanders were doing a gimmick. We were called the Double A Team, if you guys remember that at all. So we were doing that a lot on Saturday nights, and I thought really I thought that was going to take off because me and Mike, it was a pretty good deal and everybody seemed to like it. And I was really comfortable doing that because the Angry Allan character is something I'm comfortable with. So when they approached me with the Kwee, I was like, well, it's better than nothing. If it's my only option, I'm going to have to go that route, So I was excited for it because, I worked hard to get to where I was and I certainly didn't want to get off TV. And I wanted to stay where I was.
What was funny about that too, if I remember right, they brought both of you guys up to Nitro at the same time.
Yeah, pretty much all the guys from the power plant, which was you had all the Natural Born Thrillers. You had Reno, Chuck Palumbo, Mark Jindrak, Sean O'Hare, Stasiak, Elix Skipper. All of us pretty much come up the main card at the same time.
That's an impressive.
That's a good class right there.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable the talent that was in that.
Yeah. Now you wanted to talk about the power plant for a little bit.
Sure. So I got me and Dale Torberg and Glacier, which is Ray Lloyd, in Reno, and maybe Chuck Palumbo. They might have contacted him. Well, there's an anonymous committee that wanted to start a WCW Power Plant Hall of Fame. I have no idea who's on this committee. All I know is ever since I started my podcast and started talking about this, it's got all of us old friends back together and guys that we used to wrestle with in WCW. Has brought more camaraderie, and we now I've gotten in touch with guys I haven't talked to in a while, so it's been a positive thing. We've already announced 2 classes. The inaugural class of 2021. First, we had the trainers, which was Sarge, Paul Orndorff, Jody Hamilton, which was the assassin, Pez Watley, and then Mike Winter was the trainer there. So they first announced the 5 trainers, and then off the top of my head, I'm sorry I don't have the list right in front of me, but they had a class with Ice Train was on the class, Robbie and Kenny from High Voltage, and a few other guys. I'm sorry I can't remember the names, but then the last class we just got was let me try to get this straight. Dale Torberg with Asia, because she was in the power plant. You remember Asia?
I forgot all about Asia.
She was incredible, man. Then she seemed
like she was really good. And she was the perfect answer to what WWE was doing at the time, and the name was a perfect answer to what they were doing at the time.
Yeah. They just didn't use her right, and she kind of just, they got lost in the shuffle. And then once the whole crap started with WWE coming in there and everything, and a lot of us got overlooked, and then the rest is history. But so you had Chad Fortune, Sick Boy, Lodi, they're all in that other class. So they're going to announce 10 more guys next month. So I'm crossing. Elix Skipper, he actually nominated me, so I'm hoping I get picked for the next round.
Nice.
Yeah, there's good room for you.
Now, is there an actual ceremony for it?
Well, I was trying to do it on my podcast, and I mean, you guys probably will understand what I'm saying here. When you're trying to get people on your podcast, especially wrestlers, it's so hard to get all of them together, or it's so hard to get even one. And a lot of these wrestlers, to be honest with you, not making fun of them, but they're not too internet savvy. Right. And, you have trouble getting them on. I had Sarge on my podcast. I did a great interview with Sarge. So I wanted to get him on again to do the power plant, tell him that he got inducted to the Power Plant Hall of Fame. He couldn't get on a computer. I kept day after day, we're trying, and it just got to the point where I was like, I can't do it. So I did. Ice Train was the last one I did. So I'm going to start having more and more. And Goldberg was on the list, and I'm going to get Goldberg on my podcast because he owes me a favor for that spear I did for him. So
now, was Goldberg was a power plant guy?
Yeah, he trained with mostly Sarge down there, but a lot of us were kind of guinea pigs for him.
Okay.
And
you guys were
doing the jackhammer, doing the spear, doing stuff that he did, and Bill was a good athletic guy, and he was great to train with. But he's a little different to work with than to hang out with.
Yeah, I'm sure. He I thought the streak was great. Like I got behind the streak, when I was watching WCW back in the day, and I thought what he was doing. They managed to have him do stuff like it was basically spear jackhammer. Like they,
they used him how he should have been used at the time because he wasn't great in the ring when he first started, but they did enough with him, and they made him look strong, and he was a big dude, and they, for all intents and purposes, they did it pretty much the right way for what they were working with.
Right. And guys like you making him look, making it look like he's kicking your ass.
Well, the match I had with him wasn't too long. Yeah, he was a little stiff, that's for sure.
As much as somebody over, you need somebody else to put them over.
No.
Oh, definitely. I mean, everybody needs a good opponent to make them look good, man. There's no doubt about it.
Now, you were definitely like the heyday of WCW. Was there somebody there that you didn't get the chance to wrestle that you wished you had, or?
Well, I mean, there were several guys, dude. I would have loved to work with Benoit when he was there, but I never got a chance to. But Benoit and my father were pretty good friends when he come to visit all the time. Him and Chris would sit there and drink coffee and hang out. And, I would have loved to work, Benoit. I would have loved to work Jericho when I was in WWE. Jericho would be like one of my dream matches. And Chris was always a great guy, treated me good. And, I always like hanging out with Chris. Whenever I saw him, he always treated me good. So I would have loved to work with him. Oh, dude, he's incredible, man. Everything that guy does, man, he just keeps reinventing himself. And Chris he's a good dude to begin with. He's just a great guy, man. And I'm glad he's doing so good, and he's just a good dude, man.
Yeah, it's good to see, because people will say, "Oh, what about this one?" Like they did it with Hogan 20 years ago. Hogan's so old. Well, Jericho's that same age. He's just he's still a little more capable, I think,
Yeah. Jericho just turned 50. He's same age as me, but he's been in wrestling for right at 31 years now, I think.
From everything I've heard, he is just an awesome guy. Like I had the opportunity.
Dude, you can't get any better than Chris.
I had the opportunity to meet.
I like his music.
Yeah. Fozzie's really good, actually.
Yeah. Rich Ward, which is actually his head guitarist, was actually engaged to Daphne, or they might have even got married.
Oh, really?
And that's how I first met Rich. He come to a couple of shows with Daphne. She brought him around, and then we got to meet him and stuff. And then he was in a band called Stuck Mojo that they played in Atlanta a lot. I think it was called the Tabernacle. And so we used to go, me and Dale Torberg, Reno, Rick Cornell. We'd go and a couple other, Chuck Palumbo, I think maybe. We'd go watch him at the Tabernacle, and that's how we got to know Rich. And he's a great guy too.
I had the opportunity a couple of years ago to meet Perry Satin at a thing here that I was helping out with, and Perry was here not just for the convention, but he was here actually to get his head looked at by a couple of doctors, and Chris actually paid for his flight.
Oh, did he? So like a protocol for like concussion type thing, or
exactly? It was. He got diagnosed actually with post-concussion syndrome. He's one of the few that actually got diagnosed while he's still alive. And
I know he wasn't doing too good there, man. I talked to Sonny Ono about him, and him and Sonny used to be good buddies, and he kind of just fell off the face of the earth, bro.
Yeah, he ran into a lot of issues. He's doing 100 times better now. I don't know if you remember the referee Paul Richards.
Paul Richards.
Paul did he did the Northeast for WWF, and he did ECW.
Yeah, I think I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Paul got diagnosed. Paul saw these doctors here, part of the Chris Nowinski's foundation here.
Okay.
Legacy.
And And
now, is that the same thing Daphne was talking about on her deal before she killed herself?
Probably, yeah.
I think she said she was going to have her, or she had to go to or they had to go to Boston. That's why she.
More than likely. And
okay.
Paul, you couldn't know the conversation with Paul at one point, and Paul, they helped him out, and they got him to the point where now he's trying to help other people like Perry out.
That's good. That's good.
Perry, I saw Perry a year after that first time I met him, and it was 100 times different. So
that's funny you bring up. I got a little story about me and Perry Saturn back in the day, if you want to hear it.
Sure.
Yes, we do.
So we're in Cleveland, Ohio, which I'm from Ohio, so it was right down the road from where I grew up. So I had all my family and stuff there. But so Perry, from what I understand, his ex-wife and his kids lived in Cleveland. So, and this was the first time that I would have met Perry had I introduced myself to him, but I didn't, and I got big heat for it. But I'll explain myself. So we're at the arena all day long at the CSU Convocation Center. So I got, I'm going around making sure, we're young guys. We just come up from the power plant. So we learned all the etiquette. We're trying to introduce ourselves to everybody so we don't get no heat. Well, so I was going to go introduce myself to Perry Saturn, and I think I was with Elix Skipper, and I told him, I said, somebody said, Perry's with his kids and his ex-wife. You don't get to see him very much. So he's over talking to him. And I said, well, shit. I said, I want to bug him right now. I said, I'll go over there and, introduce him in the locker room or whatever. And I saw him a couple times that day, and he was with his kids and his wife. So I didn't want to mess with him. Out of respect for him, I didn't want to bother him. And so, boy, was I wrong. That got me so much heat with him. So fast forward to a couple weeks later, we're at the Phillips Arena in Atlanta. So, we both live in Atlanta, so we're there at the arena. We're sitting there catering with, I think Glacier was sitting there, Ray Lloyd. I think Goldberg might have even been sitting there. And then a couple guys from the power plant and a couple guys I'm sure I'm missing. He looks up at me. We're all talking. And he looks up at me and goes, yeah, like you fucking punk. And I look and I'm like, excuse me? And he's like, yeah, like you fucking punk. You're too good to fucking introduce yourself to everybody. And I'm like, fuck are you talking about? He's like, oh, last week, fucking didn't, you too good to say fucking hi to me, introduce yourself, you fucking punk. Like, and I stood up, I said, fuck you, Saturn. I said, you can kiss my fucking ass. I said, you know why I didn't fucking say anything to you? Because out of respect for you, I didn't want to fucking bother you with your kids and your wife because I heard you didn't get to see them too often. And if you don't like that answer, fuck you, stand up, we're fucking fighting. And he didn't say fucking shit. He sat down and said, I guess this kid fucking means business. I guess I can't fuck with him. So he just sat down and said, calm down, man, calm down. I'm just fucking ribbing you. And I said, well, if you got a problem with me, let's fucking talk about it. And after I explained myself, I think he kind of felt like an asshole because he realized that he was with his wife and kids. And, I didn't want to bother him. And that was the fucking truth. And so then him and I became pretty good buddies after that. I used to see him in the gym all the time. And, we talked to each other all the time after that. So actually it was kind of a good thing. I probably did that, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like you said, you can't, like you addressed it. You didn't say I wasn't wrong. You explained why you did what you did. And
yeah.
You did.
Well, back in the day, that was a thing to do. Nowadays, you can't do that shit because you'd probably get fired.
Yeah. It is a different world. And I don't know what the corporate wrestling locker rooms are like. I can tell you in the independents, like it's sort of split. Like there's the guys who read comic books in one corner, and there's the guys who are going to drink beers in the other corner.
Yeah, I got you. And it's always been like that. You've had a mixture of guys.
And you get like I said. Now I think some of these smaller kids are great workers. I just don't believe they can beat me up.
Yeah. Oh yeah, great workers, man. I mean, some of these guys are unbelievable.
Do you watch product now?
I'll be honest with you. I have a hard time watching it. I'll watch some of the pay-per-views. I get up at 4:00 in the morning earlier, so it's kind of hard for me to stay up and watch a show past 8:00. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's.
But I will say this: I'm not a big fan of what WWE is doing right now with anything.
Yeah.
Other than like I love watching Charlotte Flair and the women wrestle, and not that I'm a pervert, but I just think. The women just perform a lot better than the men right now, and I'd rather watch the women wrestle.
100%. Charlotte, Sasha, right down to the newer girls. They're all unbelievable. This era of women's wrestling is by far the best era ever of women's wrestling, and it is every bit as good, if not better, than what the men are doing right now.
Oh, I agree.
From being eye candy to actual workers.
And some of them. There's still some beautiful women in there.
Oh, yeah. Like Britt Baker. You got that Kayla Ross in AEW. I like watching those two guys, those two women work. Some of them Japanese women, because I wrestled over in Japan. A lot of them Japanese women were way ahead of their time. They, 20 years ago, they were where the American women are today.
Yes.
In my opinion.
I think they had to be in Japan because Japan sort of, I say, I don't say like kayfabe's dead. I say we're in on the joke now,
Yeah.
And in no disrespect, but like I think now people understand what's going on. We don't know what's going on, but we understand what's going on.
Yeah. Which I mean, it's not good for the business either. No. Once the internet came along and stuff, it wasn't good for the business at all because there's no mystique about the business anymore. And it's no disrespect to you guys either, but you got a million wrestling podcasts on TV or on the internet now, and it just it'll never be like it used to be back in the day when I grew up as a kid.
I do my best, we do our best to like what little bit of tiny bit of speck of knowledge that I have to not ever let it out. And I have about this much on a horse's ass. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you know what? Sometimes it's better, even if you know something, to just not say too much.
The problem is there's a lot of podcasts and news sites out there that think they know everything.
Well, you know how it is. Nobody ever's going to admit they're wrong. They always want to be right, you know.
Unless you've been in there and trained for what you guys do, you don't know.
Yeah, and there's all those podcasts and websites that just do nothing but break it down, and they give up the kayfabe easily.
Yeah,
right. But to me, when you get someone, I think Roman Reigns is pretty good at it. That just like you don't hear about Roman Reigns ever being out of character.
Yeah,
when he was a good guy, when he was the hero, you heard about him signing autographs everywhere. You heard about him interacting with fans and doing all this stuff. Now that he's the head of the table and he's sort of like that, he's the bad guy, he's the villain.
Yeah,
you don't hear about that anymore. I think that's what it needs to be in. There's ways to use the internet and not to use the internet.
Yeah.
Well,
unfortunately, all these guys, like you got like who was it up there? Alexa Bliss. She's playing this character on TV and then she's on her Instagram, a totally different character. So shit like that just flies wrong with me all over the place. And like, you're supposed to be with Bray Wyatt and you're supposed to be this fucking demonic chick. And then you're on there laughing and crying because your fucking pig died, and you're a totally different character. And to me, that WWE's gotta fucking cringe when they see shit like that.
I remember back like when the internet was young, you guys were doing your thing. And like there was the news groups on the internet. I don't know if you were ever familiar.
But usually those were always after the show, right?
But once in a while you would get like, oh, they shipped Shawn Michaels music to the show. Because back then everything wasn't digital, it was on tape.
Yeah, I got you.
So like you would find out like Shawn Michaels was going to be on the show, and that was like breaking news.
Yeah. Well, but you know what made that good was you really wasn't sure. You just heard something. It could happen or it might not. You know what I mean?
It could have been the kayfabe too.
Yeah.
Yep. So. And that's why we've never done news. Like we'll talk about things and but we're not a news site. We don't try to be. We're not insiders.
No. I mean, hell, I mean, sometimes I know what's going on with some stuff, and I don't even like talking about shit like that.
No,
we'll discuss a rumor, but then if we know the truth, or we won't give it. It's a way to feed the rumor a little bit and try to keep the kayfabe alive.
Yeah, I
do you do indie bookings at all?
I do. I still do indie bookings. I'll get booked here and there doing some stuff. I just did a couple autograph signings and did one for Teddy Long not too long ago.
Yeah, you were saying that.
Yeah, just, whenever, and what sucks about it is, I hadn't been on, the last TV I've done was like the Lucha Libre USA I did on MTV 2 and 3. That was back in, 2011, maybe 12 was the last time I was on TV. But I don't want to do these things for nothing. And if I'm going to take some bumps and stuff, I'm 50 years old. I need paid for it because, I can't be, hung up for a week with a damn broken leg, not be able to walk or, and even a little injury, man. Cause I've had a lot of injuries over my career and, I got 6 plates in my face and almost got killed in Finland. So it's kind of hard. I don't really want to get punched in the face anymore.
But you must see it from doing like the signings and that type of thing that the fans still know who Kwee is.
Oh yeah. You'd be surprised. There's people, I still meet people all the time, with, I didn't have my Facebook open for a long time, but I reopened it because Facebook to me is I like Instagram. Facebook is sometimes it's just too much drama on this Facebook, but I reopened it because of my podcast and try to promote it and stuff. And I get a lot of DMs, people asking for autographs and stuff, which is overwhelming, man. I hadn't done anything with the Kwee character in WCW since it went under, and it's awesome to see that, people are still wanting to buy a picture of me. Or, I met a guy down here where I live. He's a school teacher at a local school, and he asked me about, signing some autographs for some pictures he bought off the internet. So I said, well, I tell you what, I looked at his profile and I said, you live in Paulding County, Georgia? That's where I live. And he said, yeah. And I said, I'll tell you what, why don't you meet me at the Waffle House on Ridge Road? And, I'll sign some pictures for you. He was like, you serious? I said, yeah. I said, I'll tell you what, you buy me lunch and I'll meet you and I'll sign as many pictures as you want. So we met at the Waffle House and he bought me lunch and, we sat there for an hour or two and bullshitted and, shit like that. I love doing stuff like that for people
cool.
that I can get back. You know what I mean?
And that's something so simple. Like it probably cost the guy $10 for a Waffle House lunch and you just made his day.
Yeah.
It's
awesome.
Probably made his year and he got to meet somebody that he looked up to.
Oh, yeah. But, he made my day too, man. Cause, I take that stuff serious. And, if people really want to meet me, man, that's overwhelming to me. It's amazing that, that made that big of an impact on people that, somebody still, is interested in meeting me. It's baffling to me.
Now we had, did you do like when you were doing the Lucha Libre, was Vampiro a part of that then?
You know what? Vampiro wasn't. I got that gig from Mark Jindrak.
Okay.
He moved to Mexico, and Jindrak was a huge superstar down in Mexico there for several years. He was Marco Corleone.
Okay, yes, that's right.
And he wrestled. He had all the belts, CMML or CMLL. He had, he was the man down there.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, he was bigger than Vampiro at one point.
Is that right? Yeah, Vampiro. Like we became friends with Vampiro. We kind of dropped off a little bit through doing this about a year ago. And the last I heard, he was moving back down to Mexico. So,
is it? You know what? I'd love to get Vampiro on my podcast. He was always a cool dude, man. I always got along with him.
I'll reach out to him. Like I said, he kind of dropped off to us, but I'll definitely reach out to him. He had nothing but good memories at WCW. So
yeah, he was a great dude, man. I always, he was always cool.
Now, what was the difference between Japan and Mexico? Because both of those when the U.S. wasn't taking wrestling serious, both of those countries still really did.
Well, Mexico was more of a clusterfuck, really. I mean, you got, every match is like a 6-8 man tag, and there's just guys every fucking where. And it was a little stiff down there, depending on who you were working. But when Japan, it's serious. When I was over there, it was serious. I wrestled with Kojima, Kawada, the Great Muta. Now these guys, they're icons. Like you wrestle these guys, you better have your fucking head on a swivel, and you better know what you're doing. Because with the language barrier and and the seriousness is like wrestling a guy like Kawada. If you fuck shit up, man, he will beat your ass for real. And there's a few guys like that down there, but I love it. I got nothing but respect for those guys. And after I left working with All Japan Pro Wrestling with Muda and them guys, they had nothing but respect for me because I treated those guys good. I worked with them. They worked with me. And I have nothing but good things to say about All Japan Pro Wrestlers when I was down there.
Now, here's my sort of Mark question. Do you have a jacket?
I got a Rivera jacket. Yeah, it's blue.
that jacket is so like for something that's not wrestling related. That's such an iconic wrestling.
Oh, dude, I could probably sell that jacket for about
$2,000.
I got a cool story about that jacket though. If you want to hear it,
yeah. Absolutely.
So I was over there on tour with Umaga, which was Eddie Fatu. Yeah, actually, I don't even remember what he wrestled as over there. Maybe just Eddie Fatu. So him and I tagged quite a bit over there. And me and him actually got into the finals of the tag team tournament with Kawada and or was it Kaya? I think maybe him. It's been so long I can't remember. But so we go to Rivera after one of the shows, and Eddie Fatu, he's a big son of a bitch, and I'm like 220, and he's like 3 of me, right. And not really, but he's a big guy. Yeah. So I'm thinking he can eat. So I challenged him. He's like, "You want to try to see who can eat the most?" I said, "Fuck yeah," because I can eat. So we go in there, we order a big steak. I think they were like 24-ounce steaks. You get a bowl of rice, a salad. So we ate the steak, the bowl of rice, and the salad. And I actually finished mine before him. And I said, "You ready to get another one?" He goes, "Damn, you done already?" So we got another one. So I ate another 24-ounce steak, a bowl of rice, and a salad. And then we get done eating, and he wasn't done yet. And I said, "I'm going to get another one." He's like, "Holy shit, dude." He's like, "I'm fucking done. I can't eat no more." And I said, "You big pussy." So I ordered another one. And Tiger, which was one of the office guys over there, and he was kind of like the for the Gaijin, like kind of the liaison. And he comes over and he's like, they called me the Funkster. I wrestled as a Funkster over there. And he's like, Funkster, office say you way too expensive. No more. So, but I ordered one more. And I said, I got one more coming. And he's like, after that, no more. You're too expensive, Funkster. So, and then I realized I caught wind of how much the bill was. And I'm like, holy shit. Yeah, I'm a little expensive.
Yeah, like talking to different people that have been over there, and food is always an issue. Like,
oh, dude, especially steak. You get meat over there, it's ridiculous.
Well, that's Ivar in the WWE. Before he was Ivar, he was Warbeard Hansen in New Japan and Ring of Honor. And he was telling me one time that, like, he couldn't read the menus, but it lists the protein on the menu. So he would just point to the piece that had the most protein on it.
Right? Well, I was going over there quite a bit, and I became friends with Kaya, and he was a Hawaiian guy that, he went through the dojo at All Japan, and he was like one of the top gaijin. Well, I mean, he was the top gaijin. He was basically one of the boys over there in Japan. But so he kind of taught me a little bit of Japanese and enough to order food and stuff, And so, but I can tell you this, you'd get like a little hamburger. It was almost like to me, it looked like a 6-8 ounce hamburger patty. And it was $99 for this thing. Anywhere you went. So could you imagine? We went to a Korean barbecue one night that one of the Yakuza owned after the shows, and they said everything's on them. Don't worry about nothing. So of course, I used to go over there with a suitcase full of tuna fish, cans of tuna fish, protein bars, and protein powder, and that's all I ate because when I was on the road, I tried to save money and I tried to make money instead of spending it all. Right. So and then when they tell me they're paying for dinner, shit, game on. I'm fucking eating everything. So I remember I kept ordering plates of steak and chicken, mostly steak because I'm a big red meat kind of guy. So I'm eating all the steak. I remember I looked at my bill that they brought the bill to the table before the Yakuza said they were going to pay for it. My bill alone was over $700, and I wasn't even done eating yet. So I was like, holy shit, thank God I'm not fucking paying. So, but that's kind of the price of the food over there is crazy.
Yeah, and now I think there's like host families that cover the cost, but obviously there's gonna be a point where Funkster, you're too expensive.
Yeah, no shit, right? I heard that a lot.
It's like when I was over in Japan, when I was in the military, one thing they told us was, "Don't eat American over here. You go out to eat, you eat what they have. You eat what the locals eat. Otherwise, you're gonna be paying your whole check." Yeah,
no shit, right? Well, I'm not a big fish guy or sushi guy, but I tell you what, the sushi over there is pretty damn good.
It doesn't taste like fish. I'm not a fan at all, but it didn't taste like fish to me at all.
No, it's so clean and they're real thick pieces. I remember a lot of times they'd order for you, and if you don't eat what they order, it's real disrespectful over there. So you better eat it.
Yeah, I know. I know one wrestler who went over to Japan and didn't drink at all before he went over there. If he went to the bar, he drank Sprite. They ordered him a beer, so now he's a drinker.
Dude, and that's what they used to tell us. They don't give a shit if they want to take you out and get drunk. They don't care if you can wrestle the next night. They want you to. Your worth is what you can do at the bar, and not always in the wrestling ring.
Right, and that's what he said. He said, they put a beer in front of me. I had to drink a beer. So
it's almost like there's two personas with the wrestler. You have to have your in-ring persona, and then you're outside the ring persona. No. And they both kind of have to be same but different.
Yeah.
And the other, we had on one of Booker T students, Rex Andrews, and he had just gone over there for Sonny Ono.
Okay.
And he stayed in the dojo. And I was like, what did you eat there? How did you order your food? And he said, well, the dojo had people in the kitchen, and they were constantly making this thing called, I think he called it chonko.
Yeah. Like you eat whatever they make.
It was like cabbage stew, so he could go down there at 2 a.m. and get fresh cabbage stew. So that was what he ate the whole time.
Yeah. So, some of that chonko, I don't know if I'd want to eat it, though. It depends on what dojo you're in.
It did not sound too appetizing to me.
No, I know at the All Japan dojo, I don't know whether they're doing ribs on guys, but they had shit in that you wouldn't want to eat.
That's
but we used to get on the tour bus and drive to these. We drove all over Japan while I was over there in the tour bus, and then we watch old I remember we always watched Bruce Lee movies, or we watched old All Japan wrestling tapes with Hansen and Masawa and all these guys. And we'd always stop at these like road stops, and you'd get like they'd have these meat on a stick, but nobody ever knew what the hell kind of meat it was. And so remember Jerry Toot the Wall that was with Alex, right?
Yeah.
So, so me and him were like best friends back in the day. So, you know, when we were going to Japan, you know, we'd always stop at these road stops, and we'll get these meat on a stick, and we're all like, you know, it's so damn good, but we don't know what the hell we're eating. So who knows what the hell we ate over there.
I just want to give a quick shout out to Bobby D. He just sent me a message that he's been listening since 7:05, but it won't
Bobby
let him
D, what's
for
up?
some reason. Bobby is an old school wrestling fan around here. It's actually Laurie's his wife, but Bobby Bobby helps set up shows, and he's
no spring chicken.
Yeah, I don't know what his age is. I'm not the type to ask, but he does more than some of these kids that are breaking in as far as setting the rings up. So
that's cool, Bobby. We appreciate you setting the rings up for us, man. You're a hell of a guy.
He really is.
Now, how did you break in? When you guys broke in, you guys had to sort of do that and pay the dues, right?
Yeah, but you know, I actually broke in Ohio I met this guy, and he was a volunteer fireman, and he was I saw his picture in the local paper about being a wrestler and this and that, and he said he had a wrestling ring at a old school. It was like the fire department bought this old school that was, you know, they were no longer using, and he set up a ring in this like elementary school. So I actually contacted this guy. You know, this was before Facebook and Instagram, and nobody had cell phones. So I figured out how to get a hold of this guy. Somehow somebody knew where his mom and dad lived or whatever, and they knew their name. So I got his mom and dad's phone number, and I called him, and it just so happened he had a house downstairs in their basement. So, you know, I got in contact with him through that, and then, you know, he agreed to meet me. And when he saw me, he was like, yeah, he goes, you definitely look like you could be a pro wrestler. And he agreed to help, you know, let me use his ring. And I had a buddy of mine that was training with a guy named Kid Collins in Galion, Ohio, which was a Saturday morning job guy. They called him on the WWE or WWF back in the day.
Right.
So he was training with those guys, and I didn't want to pay $2,000 and drive 2 hours to Galion, Ohio every Sunday or whatever. You know what I mean? And because I never had a lot of money back in the day, so, you know, I had to be careful what I spent. And I didn't really have $2,000 to go, you know, driving 2 hours every Sunday to try to train. So I started training in the school, and the guy that used to go down there with Kid Collins that was trained by him would come up to the school. Him and I were tag team partners. He's still wrestling his day. He went by the Rogue in all the independents up in Ohio and like around Pennsylvania and stuff. Greg Anderson's his name. His brother was my best friend. So we started training in the schoolhouse. He trained me. And then we started doing independent shows, and that's how I got my break. But when I did the power plant tryout, I never told him I knew anything about wrestling. I told him I was never in a wrestling ring because I didn't want to get treated different, which at the time, if I would have known at the time, it probably would have helped me out to tell him. But like I said, I didn't want to get treated any different than the rest of the guys. I wanted to pay my dues, and I wanted to go through what everybody else was going through without any special treatment.
I think what you did was the right way, and I think for a different reason as well, because if you had said, "Yo, yeah, I've been doing the independents for, you know, X amount of years," you might have been put on a different pedestal.
Yeah, I think so. You know, I actually stood out a little bit, but I mean, you could tell I probably had a little bit of ring training, but, you know, some guys just naturally pick it up, and which I do. So, you know, it was easy for me to convince them that, you know, I was just a quick learner.
It probably also would have turned into, hey, we need a volunteer. Fuck, come on.
Well, that was like that anyway, so it didn't matter. Because I was one of Sarge's boys, you know.
Did you have to unlearn anything that you had learned?
Not really, because to be honest with you, I really didn't really learn a lot. I just kind of did stuff I saw on TV, to be honest with you.
So
and
you just literally just picked it up pretty quick then.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people like this, you know, there's bad habits and there's little things.
Yeah, no, I'm real teachable. I like listening to people not tell me what to do, but if someone knows better than me, I'm going to listen. I'm not one of these guys, oh, I know everything. I'll just do what I want to do. I actually, you know, you can ask Sarge. I'm easy to teach because I listen.
Up here, I'm 2 minutes outside of Boston. We both grew up in Boston. There, I can think of 6 or 7 schools off the top of my head, but like 3 or 4 that are reputable where you're going to get that real education out of it. Unfortunately, not unfortunately, because there's a place for it, but those other schools still get the business where, you go a mile down the road and you're just going to learn a little more.
Yeah, I got you.
But they play to the people that, the good
But now, do you guys know RJ Brewer?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's a good buddy of mine. I actually had him on my podcast, too. He worked with Lucha Libre USA with us.
So, John wouldn't know my name if you said it. But here's a funny John Walters story. And, Joe, you were there for this.
Dude, John's a great dude, man.
I've never taken a bump in my life, Allan. It's not what I do. It's not what I intend to do.
Yeah.
But me and Joe were both doing security at the show. And RJ, he was then known as John Walters here, Hurricane John Walters.
Yeah.
Was cutting a promo in the ring. There was another wrestler, Alan Blade, who they were working a program together. I also sold tickets. I was also the guy at the door that sold the tickets. And I was also security. So my buddy George said, oh, there's a spot here. We need security. Boom. Said, all right, cool. I'll keep an eye on it. And George had warned everyone else that the ceiling had been leaking at the armory we were in. Joe, do you know where I'm going yet?
I think so.
So hard cam is on one side of the ring, where we run in is on the other side. I hit the wet spot on the floor. You saw my feet over the ring when my back was on the ground.
Now, JP's pushing 6'8"?
Yeah.
So that's not a good position for your guy your size.
I get up. My buddy's like literally hiding behind me going, I can't believe you just fell. I'm like, I can't believe you didn't tell me the wet spot was there. And we're ushering the other kid into the back. And we get out there, and the other kid says, all right, you guys ready to do this again? I said, you just want to see me fall again, huh? As he runs through the curtain.
John, man, he's a good dude. I've known him since that Lucha Libre USA, and I've been friends with him ever since.
Such an incredible wrestler, too.
Oh, dude, that dude's amazing.
And when he did that, when he took on that Brewer persona and he was doing those promos at the border.
Dude, they were... He was so over, it was ridiculous.
That was heat.
Oh, yeah.
That was, for those who don't know, RJ Brewer is the son of the then governor of Arizona, who was, I believe...
Jane Brewer was her name?
Yeah, I forget if she was trying to open the borders or close the borders completely.
She was big on that. I can't remember the bill back then. It was like he used to have it on the back of his tights.
This was way before the wall.
Oh, yeah.
And that was his thing, is he was cutting promos down on the border. Like, he was living in Arizona at the time, I think, legitimately.
No, he wasn't. But
no, okay. I know he was. I know he was out of Boston at that point.
Yeah.
But so he was cutting these promos with having Mexicans run over the border, and they were one, funny, but two, it just generated so much heat.
Oh, dude, he was on a lot of national television with that gimmick.
Yes, yeah.
He got booked on all kinds of stuff.
I believe he made like nationwide news at one point.
Oh yeah, I know he did a couple news shows. A couple you're like, holy shit, he did that show.
And so that, and for what the Lucha Libre program was at that point, that wasn't a giant program. It was on MTV, but it wasn't like.
But that had so much potential, man. They dropped the ball with that thing. There was so much talent there.
But like, for him to get on national news for that says something on what he was doing,
Oh, dude, he's amazing. Yeah, he's nobody ever said he wasn't a good worker. That's for sure.
Yeah, no.
That dude couldn't have a bad match if he tried to have a bad match.
But and that's where he came up. Like, he was a product of a great school. Like, he was a Walter Kowalski student. Yeah. So, and I believe he was actually, while Kowalski was still active in the training.
Yeah. I'm sure. I think he was when he first started. Yeah.
So
hey, listen, guys, I got to start my podcast in 5 minutes.
All right.
I hate to cut you off, but
yes, no.
If you guys ever want to have me back on, just holler at me, man. We'll work it out.
Absolutely, Alan.
Sounds
Thank
great.
you. This was a blast. That went by really fast. I
And
apologize.
just can you just remind everybody to watch the Get Funk podcast? It's on anywhere you get your major podcasts, on Spotify, YouTube. If we go live, we're on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook Live, and you can check it out. Spotify, Apple, iTunes, all that kind of stuff.
And you're Allan Funk 5 on Twitter, correct?
Yeah, Allan Funk 5 on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. It's Funk Allan.
There you go. Thank you, Alan. I appreciate it, man. This was a blast.
Hey, guys, thanks so much. Like I said, you ever want me to come back on, just holler at me. We'll work it out, man.
All right, anytime,
better internet.
Well, yeah, I think I'm reasonable. I'm telling you, it's a StreamYard, man.
Yeah.
But
thank
you, Alan.
We got
all
to hang out with you. Have a great
look
show.
at this. I'm leaving now. He's getting better.
Have
a great show, Alan.
Hey, I appreciate it. You guys have a good night. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, later, guys.
That was cool. What a guy, man.
Yeah, good guy.
Open book to everything. And do you remember that John Walters thing?
I do, now that you say it. I was sitting there, I was like, someone fell. I don't oh shit. Yes. Ass over tea kettle. Your feet were in the air.
Yes.
Everyone thought it was a work too.
No, that was just me falling on my ass.
Yeah, maybe that's why
you know who's in the chat. You know who commented today?
What?
Look at this one. Look at this that commented today.
David,
do you know who that is?
I don't remember.
I'll give you a hint. He's from the motherland.
Okay.
It's Woody.
Oh crap. I haven't talked to or heard from him in a while.
He posted a few comments. He said the boys are back in town. Hi. And then Pistol Pez was when Kwee Allan was running through some of the things.
Yeah.
That was so fun.
I wish I had a better connection. I had things to say, but I was so afraid that it would just be lost.
No, you look blurry now. It looks like you're on like
nothing's changing.
A grainy camera, but you sound.
I'm using a laptop camera. Hopefully, I'll get a better setup someday. But one of the things I wanted to say to him about the food in Japan, depending on how you put your silverware down when you're done, if you use silverware or even the chopsticks, depending on how you put them down, is either a compliment to the chef or an insult.
Really?
Yes. Like, around here, you're done eating, you put your fork on the plate, knife on the plate. Like,
if it's nice and I'm at a restaurant, if it's nice, I put it in my pocket.
Yeah, true too. Well, you put the plate in your pocket right in. But depending on if you have like some food left over and you stab the fork in it and leave it there, that's an insult.
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
I learned that the hard way.
You learned a lot of things the hard way in Japan.
Well, the waiter comes up, he said, I'm like, what? No, it was great. He's like, but you put, I'm like, and then one of the guys that's been in Japan a few times told me, I was like, oh, sorry.
Didn't tell you.
Yeah, I think we might have to have him on again soon.
Yeah,
too soon, but soon.
We got things like I'm off, guys. I'm in Daytona next week, so I don't think there's going to be a show. I don't know.
It depends. If I can get a hold of the guest and push it back a week, we will, because I'll be tied up with doing some Veterans Day stuff. So I might not be able to make it back in time. So I want to make sure that I let him know, so he's not logging in with nothing.
Thank you for your service now, in case I don't talk to you every day between now and then.
And it's on film now, so you can just keep replaying that.
Right.
So if I can push back the Shocker, if you guys look him up, the Shocker Magic. He's a magic wrestler. You might have seen him on Penn Teller's Fool Us. He was on there with the friend of the show, the original Sin. He was his worker. But if we can push him back a week, we will. If not, it's just gonna be me and him next week. Yeah,
and after that, like I'm working. I just talked to Alec Price today. He wants to come back on the Prize City OG Alec Price, who also has some. I'm gonna have you talk to him because you're gonna definitely know his family, like his mother's maiden name.
All right,
it's a low. He's got Celtic ties, but he's from East Boston now.
Okay.
And he's I hate saying he's an up and comer because like he's doing so much on the indies and the independents at this point with Limitless and Beyond.
Is this the kid that broke in with NECW back in the day?
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
There was
Alex Young.
There was one that I remember we talked to before had ties to Southie with the different person that we grew up with.
Alec is maybe 20.
Okay. This guy would probably be pushing 25 now, 30 even. Yeah, but definitely get him on.
Yeah.
Get him on after the Shocker.
He does a lot just everywhere. And he's got an interesting character. It really is him. I'll tell you, like I've had conversations with him. And he's very much him. It's young kid sort of into all the trends.
Real quick though, I just noticed on the scroll going across the bottom that you put down there, host of the Get Funked podcast, Allan Funk, aka Kwee.
Yeah, I spelled it wrong. It's Kwee. He didn't notice.
Nah, I just noticed it now, an hour later. But yeah, we'll definitely get him on soon. And we're working on anybody. And like we said before, guys, if there's somebody you want us to get on or somebody who wants to reach out, hit us up on Twitter, hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, one of those places. We're pretty much everywhere, whether it's the show, whether it's JP or myself. Hit us up
anyway. And also, guys, that's there was something that happened in wrestling this week that I think, Joe, you're going to want to touch on, and I want to touch on real quick. And that's people look at addiction and they think drugs automatically, heavy drugs.
Yes.
It's not only drugs, guys. Alcohol addiction, it can be very serious. It can end families. It can end lives.
It's a lot easier to get addicted to alcohol than it is to harder drugs because alcohol is easily acceptable. It's in every household. It's easy to get. I mean, I started drinking at 13 years old. Now, I quit shortly after I was 21. I've been sober now for over 26 years.
Yeah.
It's been the toughest battle of my life.
Like you look at things like the Las Vegas Raiders, their wide receiver just got into a car accident while he was drinking, going 154 miles per hour. And he killed somebody. Somebody died in that accident, so I believe. It's a very serious thing, and we just wish John Moxley the best. And guys, I saw some people online saying this would never happen in WWE because WWE wouldn't allow it. Guys, how many times have the Usos been arrested for DUI? And no offense to them, they need help as well.
Or even look back to the old days. How many times has I'm going to put the kudos on Vince? How many times has Vince sent somebody to rehab?
Well, Vince may be paying for Moxley's rehab.
I know he reached out. I hear he reached out.
Vince has a thing. Vince had a policy a couple of years ago where he would put guys through rehab if you ever worked for him. And I remember WrestleMania 25. I was sitting with Kevin Nash. I asked about Scott Hall. Scott Hall was having some issues at that point, and he said he's doing good right now. He's on a Vince scholarship, I think he called it, saying that he was going through the rehab at that point, paid for by Vince. So, and at that point there, that was not like a public thing that Vince was doing that.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, that's awesome." He said, "Oh no," he said, "Vince does that. That's a thing." Like, and then it became. He made it an actual policy that the shareholders knew about a couple of years later.
Yeah.
So
the company will pay for it, not out of his pocket.
Probably, yes.
I'm not downplaying that.
But it's still cool that he does it for it, and it's whether you worked for one show for him or you didn't have to be under contract. Basically, you had to be an employee at some point. So if you traveled with him for a little bit, then he would pay for it. But John Moxley, man, with fans, get the help you need, get better. Your family will be there for you, your fans will be there for you, and your friends will all be there for you when you come out. And
I want to put this out to anybody listening to us. And I think I've said this before. I've been sober for 26 years. I can help you, point you in the right direction. I can't cure you, but I can listen to you. I can put you in the right direction. I can help guide you. And most of all, I can be an ear and a person of support. No judgment. I've done it myself. I woke up naked in the gutters of Thailand. Okay?
Neither one of us. So if you want to reach out to one of us, and again, we're not therapists. We cannot help you. We can listen and we can get you the help. Put you in the right place to get the help. We'll Google whatever we need to do for you. Reach out to us.
Yes. That's all I can say.
So I think we just had a pretty good episode, Joe.
I think we did. I just want, before I say my normal sign off, anybody listening to us here, go jump onto the Get Funked podcast.
Yes, go get funked.
Yep. It's going to funk you up.
Uptown, funk you up.
All right, don't do that. I'm sorry. All right. So again, there may or may not be a show next week, depending on if I can push the shocker back one week. If not, then see you next Thursday.